Guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Blow Daz.
I'm Gaynor.
Okay, just service today, Gaynor.
It is.
Which means a good old food one.
Yes.
Bit of Kent Rollins.
Yep.
Absolutely love this guy.
I do.
He's a legend of cooking food in the outdoors. Making President Lincoln's favourite meal. Chicken Fricassee, is it pronounced?
Fricassee?
Fricassee?
I don't know.
Don't know how you pronounce that. I've never... I actually don't know what this is.
I think it might be like breaded lemon chicken. I might be wrong though, but...
Chicken Fricassee.
But how do they know what President Lincoln's my favourite meal was?
There'll be documents documenting it. Yeah. Wasn't that long ago.
You was probably there as well.
So were you. Anyway, let's get into it. Bit of Kent Rollins making President Lincoln's favourite meal.
We've got the wagon all hitched up, and we're fixing to take a ride back in history with Abraham Lincoln and eat one of his favorite meals, chicken fricassee.
Fricassee. Ooh, you might be right, guy.
Middle of the 1860s, and the Civil War is going on, trying to come to an end it is, and there's one man who is under an extreme amount of pressure, and that is President Abraham Lincoln. Long and tall and lean Abraham was, and he worked all the time, and he worried about trying to form a nation together that the North and the South got along. That was his goal. But this played a toll on him. He never hardly took any time to eat as he would go through the house there at the White House, but Mary Todd had figured this deal out, his little sweet wife. She said, we need to fix him something that makes him comfortable, one of his favorite dishes. So she would ask the White House staff to fix him what? Chicken fricassee. But he loved him some biscuits, he loved him some apple pie, and they would invite guests over because if she just fixed this for him and her, he wasn't still going to sit down and eat. So old Abraham had to sit down at that table when his guests arrived and he would eat. This was one of his favorite dishes, and it's fast going to become one of yours too. Chicken fricassee comes from the French. It means to break down or brown. Usually,
just going back to Abraham Lincoln, then when you look at like figures from the past of like notable figureheads, people will always forget someone like Margaret Thatcher. You know, like for what she looks like. She wasn't like an iconic figure to look at, if you know what I mean. But when you've got people like Boris Johnson, Donald Trump, Abraham Lincoln, he's definitely there as one of them figureheads you look at and you know exactly who it is straight away. Just by you don't even have to see his face, you can just see an outline. And the hat, that he's very unique in the way he looks, wasn't it?
You're right.
usually with a sauce or a gravy. Now, traditionally they would have used a whole chicken, but today we're going to use a chicken thigh, skinless. Now, when you talk about a whole chicken, they wasn't just putting the whole chicken in there to stew and cook. They were cutting it into legs, thighs, wings, breast, everything like that, and go ahead and putting it in there. But President Lincoln also liked for the White House staff at times to chop his chicken up to lay it in there to where it was more of a bite-sized piece. Today I'm using chicken thighs because I really think they're the best part of the chicken to bring about a bunch of flavor. Deboned and they have no skin on them. Now, when the White House staff would fix this, mostly the only seasoning that was in it was marjoram, mace, a little nutmeg, maybe some salt and pepper. That was about it. Now, we're going to try to keep this pretty traditional to the way they did fix it for old Abraham Lincoln, but we're just going to start off too, because I always add a little ground mustard when I'm doing anything with chicken. Marjoram. Now, if you can get this fresh, it doesn't take quite as much.
I thought he was saying margarine.
That's what I thought he said.
No, margarine.
How would you say it? How would we say it?
Margarine. It's like a herb, isn't it?
Don't know.
Yeah.
I thought you said margarine.
I thought he said margarine.
Yeah.
I was thinking I was going to be dead greasy, but he's talking margarine. M-A-J-O-R-A-M.
Much, but dried, we're going to put, and if the way the wind's blowing today, it may not all go in there. A spice that I've never used a whole lot, but is very unique in the way that it is flavored and smells, and that is mace. Not the kind you spray in your eyes when you got somebody coming after you.
That's what I thought it was.
Got a little citrus blend to it, but also a little nutmeg, a little clove mixture. Then we're going to add some coarse ground black pepper, some of our original seasoning, and I'm sure if Abe would have had it, he'd have told them to use it. We're going to grind a little nutmeg or grate. So
now, why are you grating it instead of just using a
powder?
Powder.
This is what they had. This is what they used. So I wanted to keep it pretty traditional to the way things were there. Ever smelled nutmeg after
Yeah,
it was
smells
ground.
so good.
It is so flavorful, it
Reminds
is.
me of
So we're
apple
gonna put a
pie.
little more in there, about a half of this. And I would say that was pretty close. Looky there, it's such beautiful artwork in there. So let's get our chicken back over here in place. We have got a Dutch oven on the stove that has got about a half a stick of butter in it, melting. Now, traditionally this was cooked with a skillet on a wood stove with a lid on top. But we're gonna cook it in a Dutch oven there today.
Did Abe have those gloves?
You never
I'm
cooked
sure
it.
they had something called maybe hot water to wash the hands in after they washed the chicken. But you can see no skin, no bone in them thighs. And we're just going to sprinkle over the top of this. We'll give it a rubbing in and then we'll do the other side.
Hey, taste the seasoning. I want to know what your
What flavors I got here?
Yeah, what does it taste like?
I'm telling you, that mace, it reminds me of holiday when I get that in my mouth, like Thanksgiving. But there's a lot of great flavor coming in here. There was a funny story when I was researching this online, and Abe was coming through the battle lines there long before the Civil War actually took place, I think, and he was on a short horse. Some of the soldiers there that seen him said, "That doesn't look right. Abe's feet are dragging the ground," and his feet were like this far off the ground. Abe ended up getting him a big old sort of draft Persian looking horse, and he called him Old Bob. Old Bob stayed with him a long time, and when he was practicing his law, he would ride from client to client on Old Bob, or hook him up to the wagon and pull it there. Old Bob was a big old horse, and Abraham feet didn't drag the ground on there. So got our chicken all seasoned. We'll add a little more of this right there at the end, so don't throw that away. Butter is melted. Heavy cream, or you can use half and half. When you place that chicken in there, I just don't want you to put it in. I want you to put it in there and then turn it back over, because I want to make sure that that top side is coated with some of that cream and butter mixture as well. I'm pretty sure they was cooking on an old wood.
So it's just butter and cream.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure I'd like that. Might be a bit heavy.
Yeah, I want
It's
to see
nothing
what
what I
it's
thought
finished.
it was. I thought it was like a breaded chicken with
Yeah.
like a lemon kind of sauce on it. So
Stove back at the time too. I don't know if they called theirs Bertha, but this is pretty typical the way we're going to cook it today. Going to start out on probably a medium-low heat, and we're just going to let this simmer for a while till that chicken gets fork tender, and then we'll go on with the rest. You know, there was another thing that comforted old Abe pretty well during all this time too, and that was music. You know, they would have folks over at the White House, and they would have a band come in and they would play old traditional Irish ballads like Old Rosin the Bow, one of his favorites. And it was just something that calmed and took him back to a simpler time in life. But also, this was some of the same music that was been sang in some of the camps that the soldiers were at. So this was something that sort of brought President Lincoln some peace besides just food. Now, we got this chicken sitting over here over about medium-low heat. Now, if you're doing this on a burner in the house, we're gonna let all that just come to a simmer. You don't wanna just keep that thing boiling. You don't wanna scorch that milk. But we wanna cook it probably 30 to 45 minutes.
How did they get it on a medium-low heat on an oven like that?
burner. They must have.
Does it put his amount of coal he puts on it, or the amount of like wood or anything he puts in it? Fuel.
I don't know, because it's like when you do a barbecue, isn't it? When you first light it, all the flames are coming up, and then once you let it die down,
Yeah.
that's when you put your
Because
meat
it's where the
on.
coals are and all
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
thing.
Unless you've
Minutes
got a
until
thing
that
to
chicken
turn
gets
it.
fork tender, and then we'll go on with the process. But you know, it wasn't just the love of food that me and Abe had a lot in common. We did. We both have split our share of wood. We have. I mean, I have swung that axe many times to split wood, whether I be on a ranch or trying to make kindling for old Bertha. But another thing that was near to my heart and dear to his heart too was a Studebaker wagon. Now, he had a Studebaker coach that he insisted he have one because of their durability and their comfort and their ease of ride when you were going down all them old rough streets that they had back in the time. And my wagon is, to me, is in the same purpose. You know, Studebaker has been in business for a long, long time.
Midnight,
Anybody could have a chuck wagon, but Studebaker was the only company that I ever knew of that you could order a chuck box in one of their wagons. But this wagon is 1876. These people were great craftsmen. It's not like with the tools that we have today, but a wheelwright back in them days was worth his weight in gold. But these wagons were put together to be strong and to last a lifetime if you take care of them, and that's the way it's been. Studebaker Company was very successful in making wagons, and they had a contract with the War Department to where they built a lot of wagons for them, and they had to change axles, change paint, and they did this in record time to keep things moving. If it was good enough for old President Lincoln to have at the White House, it's sure good enough for me to feed cowboys out of. But you got to remember this too, folks. When they were going there, things of the Civil War were ending. Things were going to get better, and they were going to the theater. He took his last ride to Ford Theater in that Studebaker wagon.
An interesting taste, that.
Well, we've been on about 40 minutes here on like a low simmer. Used our chef's temp there, and we just probed some of that chicken. You want to be at least to 165 on this, you do. And then let's get it out of there, put it on a plate. We'll set it somewhere warm. That chicken is trying to fall apart. And folks, this is the makings right here for what I would call some really good gravy. So we got our chicken out of there. You can see we still got all that good flavoring from that chicken broth that come out of that chicken, plus that cream and that butter. We're going to add about 3 or 4 tablespoons of sifted flour. Get you a little, don't go too much at one time. Keep stirring. That's going to thicken that up for when we put it over them biscuits that we got cooking with some of Abe's chicken. This is fine dining right here. This is about what I'd call the good consistency of gravy here. So we didn't have to use very much flour. When you got that to the thickness that you want, let's go ahead and put that chicken back in there. And really all we're doing is when you put it in there, I want you to flip it back over one time, give it a good rubbing in the bottom there. And we're gonna let this simmer for about 3 minutes. Check on them biscuits and make sure they're ready. Me and old Abe are gonna have us a full meal deal.
Actually, it looks really tasty.
It does, but I'm thinking it's one of those things that you can't have much of it.
Yeah, because it's heavy cream and butter.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tip my hat to Abe right off the bat and the White House staff that was fixing this for him, because it does look like a delectable dish to me. Now, you can see we served this with some biscuits that we had made and just poured as a little gravy over the top there. You've got to have some of that. But I'm pretty sure that this would have happened at Abe's house before we even put it in there. We'd bless it a little. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity, and we thank you, Lord, for you helping us create the history that we get to look back. We just ask you to watch over us, guide and direct us, and thank you for this free country. Amen. So, Mage, I'm going to first try just a bite of the chicken. And that chicken...
Wait, first of all,
yes.
Can you try the gravy?
The gravy. Oh, I'm all about gravy. So we're just going to get us a little spoon right there, a little fork of that.
Because I'm interested, like, with those spices, what is it?
It's different than any gravy we ever made, and I've made gallons upon gallons of white gravy or brown gravy. But the mace and the nutmeg that's in there with the margarine, it just gives this sort of a savory taste that you think, I don't really know where this is coming. What is this?
It's a bug?
Yeah. Your taste buds are trying to figure it out as it gets back there to the back, and you think, savory?
Does it taste
Little
like holiday?
To me, it does. Sort of tastes like Thanksgiving, or what you'd sort of smell walking into a house. You've been cooking some pumpkin pies, maybe something like that. So let me just try a bite of this chicken, Mage, if that's all right. Oh my gosh.
It's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, because the name sounds fancy.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a fancy name, and what we always told you, you can't get full on fancy, you can't. But Them chicken thighs have so much flavor. I mean, it is a delectable dish. I'm gonna have me a bite of biscuit. With them old-fashioned buttermilk biscuits that we made, it makes me want to do a little rosin of the bow on the footwork. Give it here, give it here. I think old Abe might give me one of these. He might tip his hat to all the ladies and everything. Whew. That is some fine eating right there. Mate, would you like to try an old-fashioned homemade biscuit? Good boy, thank you for helping us out. Folks, it is something I think we need to reiterate too about how fond President Lincoln was of that old horse Bob. When they had his funeral procession coming down the road, there was old Bob right behind that had a sort of a cape layered upon him there. He was a great horse, meant a lot to President Lincoln, he did. And I want to thank all those forefathers of ours that brought about this history that we can try to recreate. But folks, I'm just telling you, me and Shan did have some more bites of this. You need to fix this because it will blow your mind.
It surprised me, the flavor. It is really good.
It is spot on, it is.
Looks
But it
good.
is with pride, honor, and privilege that I tip my hat to all the servicemen and women and all the veterans that have kept that old flag a-flying over the camp. Rest of you, get up on in here now. Get up in here. What we're going to do, we're going to give you a big old Abraham Lincoln hug. God bless you, each and every one. And be sure and share with your neighbors and your friends. That's what it's all about. See you down the trail.
He's just very heartwarming, isn't he?
He
Ken?
is.
He's just he's one of them when you just watch him, he just makes feel good facts. He's a bit like the Bob Ross, with the painting, like that, the cooking, isn't he?
Yeah.
But that's with the name Chicken Fricassee, right? I thought again it's going to be a bit fancy. It's going to be a lot going into it. Yeah. But it was dead basic, wasn't it?
It was just basically cream, milk, and butter.
And it actually looked very tasty. It looked really nice.
Yeah, it's very much like the gravy that you make with the sausage in, but with chicken. You get the herbs and spices. I don't think you would like it. Those herbs and spices that went in there, I don't think you would like.
Yeah, I'm not keen on certain things like cinnamon's not doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Then on things like these certain spices and herbs, like you say, that's they just don't sit right for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever had mace.
Yeah, you have.
Have I?
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
Just can't remember. I can't think of the taste or anything about it. I've never really heard of it apart from the one, like you said, one you get sprayed in the face with.
Yeah. It's a weird taste. I can't describe it.
Yeah. But I might have a go at trying that. They're making that. See what it's like.
Yeah.
Like you said, I don't think you can have a lot of it because it's butter and cheese, butter and milk.
I know that
butter and cream.
Chicken thighs have a more flavour than chicken breasts.
Yeah.
But I do like chicken breasts.
Yeah, I prefer the breast and the thigh. But it's a lot of the restaurants here now are doing thighs.
Thighs, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's more flavourful, like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, good video that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Cheers.